Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me once again. You're always most welcome. Well, here's an interesting selection of things I thought we'd look at today. Weapon sets. Now, recently I did a review of the Hobby 2000 former Hasegawa 1/72 scale F111 D/F, and one comment that came back from a number of people was that it doesn't come with any weapons and it's a bit disappointing and blah blah blah. Now, unfortunately, for those of you who don't know, this is a bit of a Hasegawa disease, you might say. A lot of their kits don't have many stores and weapons. It can be a bit frustrating. However, there's clearly method in their madness, because what they're trying to do is sell you these many separate weapon sets. And I just wanted to say that, whoops, my Polish flag off, I don't want that, just because it's not our hobby today. So I thought we'd do a quick review, because they're only small kits these, basically, retailing for about £20–25. These have been loaned to me though by a good friend of the channel, David, so thank you very much, David. And he's actually picked these up. I think he got them quite cheaply, actually, a bit cheaper than I've just suggested. So sometimes they're the kind of thing that don't move in certain model shops. You can pick them up very cheaply, so always worth keeping an eye open. And he very wisely has chosen a bit of a selection here. So I thought we'd have a quick look at them. We'll finish off with his sort of creme de la creme, the Eduard Big Sin set, which I've shown in 40x scale for the Tornado. Well, he's got it at 72 scale, so that's going to be something very nice to finish off with. So I won't take too long today. I did think about doing a separate video for each of them, but I think that would be a bit boring and, you know, it would drag on, and I don't think it would perhaps get that many views. Whereas if I show you a whole selection, quite thought-provoking, it makes you realise that, yeah, you can get these additional sets, and you shouldn't really need to, I don't think, but they can be useful, because obviously here we've got the European set, for example. You could use that with Airfix or anybody's kit. So let's have a look. Start with that one, then we'll work on to the American ones, because they've got quite a range. So here we've got the sort of things that we carried by the Royal Air Force or the Luftwaffe today, with their sort of Eurofighters, Tornadoes, etc. We've got the ASRAM AIM 132 being shown, and there's also all sorts of Storm Shadow, and you name it, all sorts of things going on. Meteor, Iris T, all sorts of stuff. Scalp, Storm Shadow, yeah, so let's get into it. Okay, so there's not much in them, which is why I thought we'd do a multiple review, really. Here we have, in this case, the European one, as I mentioned. And you know, it's just a weapon, so there's not much to the instructions, obviously. So you've got AIM 132, you've got Meteor, which I think is the one the Germans use. Alarm, of course, anti-radar missile. Brimstone, which has been used quite a lot in places like Syria. And it tells you which aircraft, Harrier GR7. The Typhoon, in the case of Storm Shadow, or the Tornado. Yeah, it shows the different. It even shows the different sort of layouts. I'll zoom in a bit more, and which rails to use, because they include the rails generally as well. So it's a nice kit, to be honest. Quite a good idea. So you've got your Storm Shadow there, being made up of several parts. A lot of the missiles at this scale are in one piece, mostly, except these bigger ones. So Taurus, KEPD, which I think is one the Germans use, and then you've got your AIM 120, which is a development of the Sparrow, of course. Sort of latter-day Sparrow. And the Iris T, which I think is used by the Germans, and the F-16, on the Typhoon, the F-16. So there you go. So yeah, not much to the instructions, obviously. It just gives you a little, quite a good guide for the painting and the stencils and decals on the back. Zoom you back a bit with this. Yeah, I mean, it's quite a nice little set, really. It's definitely worth investing in if you like. For example, if you like 72 scale, definitely think about getting some of these. Here we've got our various decals. Shows which is which. Mainly sort of warning signs and things like that. So we'll have a look at the plastic. I'm going to have to break into this one, I think, am I? Yes. Bear with me, folks, I'm going to have to chop up his bags. Never trust the man with a knife, David. Right, here we go. It'll be fine. I'll reseal them afterwards. It'll be fine. No problem. See, this is going to take a while. I can see that I'm going to end up with this video wishing I had done them separately. But I think they're just too short, a bit, perhaps a little bit too repetitive. Oof. Right, here we go. So, you can see straight away it looks like Storm Shadow here. And quite a few parts there. You got all the tail and the nose, fins, Brimstone. They're quite nicely sort of moulded, to be honest. And then there's two of those. They're actually multiples. Not as much as they look. So then you got two of each sprue basically. And then you got your AIM 120s and the various other ones on there, complete with the rails that they come on. So that's the first one. So that's the British one, stroke British German, I should say, for your tornadoes and Eurofighter type thing, basically. Quite like that. They're quite neat. I can see why David's sort of got his eye on these and thought, yeah, I'll have some of those, because someday you're going to need them. You can just guarantee it. One day you'll need them. Right, next one. Some of you might remember I had the Hasegawa 48 scale Hasegawa A7 Corsair, and we were a bit perturbed about the fact that it had almost no stores on it at all. And here we've got, obviously that was a different scale, but here we've got them ideal for Tomcats, Corsairs, Skyhawks, you name it really. There's all sorts there. Is that a Valkyrie as well showing? Was that their 15? Maybe their 15. It's hard to tell. I must say I don't care for the way they're presented, because the models look a bit toy-like. They're very, very perfect, and there's no sort of weathering, and only a very simple paint job, shall we call it. So this is US air-to-air missiles this time. Let's have a look at what we got again. So this time, same sort of format. Excuse me. We've got our decals here, which again, just mainly stencils really. A few stripes, excuse me. Oh, you're not today. I can need no doubt. That's before I get on the drink. So, we've got Phoenix missiles in two halves. Okay. Yeah, not. I just mentioned. Just go off topic slightly. Not like the new Great Wall Hobby F14B Tomcat, which they brought out in 48 scale. Have you seen that? No, I won't be reviewing it because I've seen it already. I'm not totally impressed. Complicated, yeah. It's got some interesting features. It's got things like spoilers on the wings, which I don't think anybody else like Tamiya are giving you. But it's super complicated. The fit doesn't look very good. It's got some crazy ideas like frame on the outside of the glasswork of the canopy. It's going to be a nightmare to make. But the weapons are really naff looking. Not bad, but inferior to what they've done before. Normally Great Wall Hobby at 48 scale, if you've ever seen things like their flankers, for example, which I've got one of, 35S I think I've got. And they form them on a frame, one at a time, in one piece. The weapons are beautiful slide mould. But no, they've not gone for that on this new Tomcat. They've gone for, like the Phoenix missile I was going to see here, they've gone for it in multiple parts, you know, with many fins, and it's like 4 pieces to stick it together. It looks like an absolute nightmare. This is from the company that sets the standard really in weapons. I don't know what they've done there. I think they've contracted this kit out to somebody else. I don't mean a competitor, but I mean some subcontracting extruder or designer, and they decided to do it in a very old school way, if that's the right way of thinking of it. And some of the fit and finish just looks a bit naff to me, so that's not going to get reviewed or bought by me. Just thought I'd say, you know, just saying. Anyway, so here we've got your Phoenix missiles, and it was the Phoenix that made me think of it, because on the Tomcat it looked like a major build just to do the Phoenixes, to be honest. You've got Phoenix, Falcon, what else you got? Phoenix, they've actually showed this in quite a different way to the other one, haven't they? The instructions are perhaps a later generation, I don't know. You've got the pallets for your Phoenixes there. Because they have these great big pallets, of course, for the Phoenix, don't they? And then you've got your rails and all your pylon rails and pylons. So they provide everything you need, really. You know, you've got sidewinders here. What are they? Sidewinder 9L, is it? I think it might be Lemurs. These are quite a lot of early stuff here. SUU-20, which is a countermeasures pod, I think that one is. And then you've got the Vulcan GPU-5, which is the Vulcan gun pod, basically. Yeah, so you've got some interesting items there. And then again, you've got on the reverse side, it's just basically all the paint guide and the stencil stroke decal guide, including Phoenixes. Very nice. So let's have a look at this one then. I think we'll have to hack it again with the blade. Once again. Try and make a neater job of this. I think I might need a new blade actually, it's getting a bit blunt. It seems to work better this time. So, here we go. Oops, just one time please. So these Phoenixes come in 2 parts, which is a lot less than you get in a Great Wall Hobby 48 scale Tomcat. And they look rather nice, to be fair, don't they? For 72nd scale, those look bob on. And there's your small ones. It's Falcon, is it? And then you've got these pods we just spoke about. Quite a nice set. So there's 2 of those sprues, and then you've got your missiles, air-to-air missiles. So then you've got your Sidewinder, I think is a 9L, not quite sure. I think this is 9L, isn't it, this one? I think that's a later one, maybe a J. But anyway, there's various iterations of it, and then you've got a little bit of flash there, I don't know if you noticed that. And you've got your sparrows, air-to-air sparrows, and then you've got your rails. And as I mentioned, there are some... Oh, no, they don't include the pylon, I beg your pardon. They're not included, just the rails. Okay, so there we go. Quite a nice set. You know, they're kind of a must-have item, aren't they, really, if you're going to be modelling these Hasegawa or Hobby 2000 even, you know, 1/72 scale kits. Quite like that. So that's the second one, that's the US weapons set, as they call it. And then it gets a little bit more specific. So the third one, this is US bombs and rocket launchers, so it's getting a little bit more sort of ground attack orientated now. Instead of air-to-air missiles. We're really going for the Vietnam style with the A7 Corsair there. Mark 82 bombs, retard bombs, you've got fuse extender Mark 82s, BLU 27s, which are napalm, I think, aren't they, if I'm not mistaken. Then you've got snake eye bombs, which are of course the type that were actually used in the Falklands War against the British by Argentina. And an F-15C. I didn't think many F-15Cs carried that bomb load out, did they? I thought that was the whole point of the E. But anyway, I'm sure they were tried occasionally. But as you'll probably know, that the F-15C was the fighter version of the F-15, so generally it was really in the air-to-air role. But I'm sure that there were times, maybe the first Gulf War, where they were probably utilised because they had the capability. So now we're on ground attack bombs. Now I like this system here where it shows this is what was missing on the others really, shows the A7 for example here with all the external stores and the options for it. Now that's quite good, isn't it? Yes. So it's very much aimed at your sort of Vietnam style, possibly Desert Storm, you know, but Vietnam mainly I think. Mark 84 bombs, Mark 83 bombs, M117. I was right, the BLU 27 is indeed napalm, I thought it was. Because it looks like a fuel tank and it's a BLU bomb registration number, so clearly something very nasty indeed. You don't want to be around when that goes off. Then you've got what's basically the Zuni rocket launchers. And the LAU-3, and then you've got your multiple ejector rack, MER, very much just was carried on the Corsair, and also you've got the triple ejector rack for the retard bombs. You might recall on the Matchbox kit that these MER multiple ejector racks is what was on that in 72nd scale. clearly these are more detailed, so something definitely to consider, I think. And then the paint guide with all your stencils on the back. There you go. There really seems to be aiming this at the Corsair mainly, I've got to be honest. That's the sort of target aircraft, Vietnam era. And then here we go. So this large one in the middle is your napalm. Gosh, nasty stuff, isn't it? Then you've got your Zuni type rockets down here. And then you've got the a number of all the other variants of all the different conventional bombs, non-guided bombs, freefall bombs. And then they've got these MERs, which are really well done in fairness. Look how detailed they look. I mean, you know, you can put that on your Matchbox 72nd scale kit, it would look really, really good actually. So that's very nice. Then, other side we've got, here we have got yet more napalm. But now we've also got the fuse extender bombs here. Fuse extenders on the front. And just more of the same really. And then you've got your pepper pot style bomb rocket launchers there. Again, very much ground attack orientated this. Just the thing for an afternoon over Vietnam, I suppose, in late 60s, early 70s. And then we have got, and then we have got our decals stencils there. Right, okay. So far so good. So now we're going to move things forward a little bit to sort of Desert Storm onwards time-wise, I think. We have got US weapons, special bombs. So this is your bunker buster type bombs and lantern pods. So this is laser guiding pods, okay? So this is going to be, as I say, Desert Storm, basically, sort of late 80s, early 90s onwards. We again have our pack here. I must say I'm quite taken with these. I mean, if you can pick them up cheap as chips like David did, they're definitely worth investing in, because sooner or later you'll have a kit and you'll think, ooh, like that F111. Imagine putting these on the F111. Wow! It'd transform it, wouldn't it? What I don't understand though is why they just decide to arbitrarily have one that shows one aircraft with the stores on it. That may not be typical of the others though, so I'm not sure why they're doing it. In this case it's the F-15E. Strike Eagle. Strange the way they've gone about it really, but there we go. So, and again, slightly different format and instructions again. This is a little bit later. So we've got an ANAAQ 13 Navigate Nav pod. Then we've got the what became known as the Lightning pod. You've got a Tomcat rack, which is provided, or a Fighting Falcon rack, and it shows how they go on. F-15E Strike Eagle, blah blah blah, showing the different variants. And then we've got AGM, Joint Standoff Weapon. So this is basically a cruise bomb, if you like, almost a cruise missile, but effectively a cruise bomb. Then you've got your JDAMs, Joint Direct Attack Munition, which are basically a high penetration or cluster bomb. And then you've got an ECM pod, the ALQ-184. Other side, same format really. Navigation pod, targeting pod, or lightning pod, and then the various different options we've just shown. Looks okay, doesn't it? So, here we have the bag. Get my deadly knife out. Yeah. Is this a dagger I see before me? Yes, it is. Oh, this one's going to be in a different design of bag, presumably. I thought it was a resealable, but it's not. I'm excited for a minute then. So here we've just actually got is it 3 sprues? 3 identical sprues. So it's not that exciting, but I do like the fact they've provided the pylons this time. That is a step forward. So And they are very specific weapons, aren't they? Let's just see that. Okay. Here we go. So yeah, you've got your, I think that's the nav pod, and you've got your very nicely panelled pylons, several of them, here's some more, and then you've got your J-dam, sorry, standoff, wasn't it? That's the J-dam, that's the J-dam, that's the standoff, and then you've got your lightning pod, sorry, that's the lightning pod up here, lightning pod. And has the swivelling head on it, of course. So there we have it. So that is the Hasegawa sets. There is some decals which I haven't shown you yet. In fact, there's a couple of sets of decals. In fact, they provide 3 lots. I think they need all 3 though, in fairness, because there's quite a few of them. And again, it's the essentially stencils mainly. Okay, that's that. And then we're going to have a look at, finally, something really special, which is the Eduard Big Sin, which is the brass resin set for the Tornado. Now, Eduard do not do... One of my favourite things about Eduard is these sets. Now, I'm not a big fan of working with resin, I've said this before. They just do these so beautifully well, they really do. Check this out. So this is a small scaled down version of what I showed about a year, 18 months ago on the 48 scale set. And you can see here, so we've got CBU, there's a cluster bomb, Sky Shadow, which is a jamming pod, alarm missile, that's anti-radar missile, thermal imaging and laser designation pod, TL pod, CPUs, which are laser guided bomb, BOS 107, which is a jamming pod, I think, and then JP266 Dispenser, that's the successor to the JP233, which was used in the First Gulf War, and of course it ejects munitions out and blows up runways, multiple munition dispenser. And then there's British bombs, like a variety of British bombs as well. So let's have a look what's in the box. Looking forward to this because they're always good, aren't they? So you always get like separate instructions for each weapon, which I like, keeps it simple. Nice bit of foam. So let's take them one at a time. I think try and make sense rather than go back and forth. So we're starting with the British £1,000 retarded bombs. Now when we say retarded bombs in the British sense, that means that they have a parachute. So we don't have these fins that extend like some of the American, is it Snake Eye? I think they have that, don't they? These don't. These have a little parachute which ejects from the back. And it doesn't really show that, but that's the way it works. And then it's very simple construction, you know, there's not a lot to it. You've basically got what looks like 3 parts really. So let's have a look for the actual parts themselves. And then we can talk about it specifically. Here they are. Ta-da! So we'll have a look at them. Shows you on the reverse what it should look like. And here we have them. So, well, they're all in one piece, in fact. So there is some photo etch though that's going to go on the back. There's lots and lots of photo etch, and if you look very carefully, it's the fuse, little fuse propellers at the back. So they set the fuse going, obviously, arming the weapon. And here we are. So, yeah, they're nice, aren't they? Very, very nice. Typical Eduard, very detailed, great panel lines, and you can see the recessed sort of hatches that's in it, the rivets. Very, very nice. Like it, like it, like it. That's a good start. So that's one done. Second one is JP266. As I mentioned, this is the multiple munitions dispenser, which is aimed at destroying runways or indeed ships. Blow pass over a ship and dispense this all over it. Wow, what a mess. That is going to make it's going to give somebody on a boat a very, very bad day, I can tell you. And if you look very carefully, you can see the little sections that basically these bomblets pop out of these sections along the side. And rains basically cluster munitions down all over the target. In terms of construction, it's just in two parts. So it's just two resin pieces. The front section and the main section. Front section's got the guidance system in it and trigger systems, and then the main section with the munitions there. So that one is. So these are big. These are big. Let me show you. Zoom out. These are mighty. Look at the size of them. The only thing to be wary of when you're thinking about these products is you mind that your undercarriage on your model is going to be strong enough to take the weight of these, because this weighs quite a lot. Feels like lead. They're not light. They're not. There's some serious mass here. So here's the front section. They are beautifully done now. Look at this. So it actually does dispense munitions out the front downwards as well. Downwards on all of them. So some come out the side, I believe, and some come out the bottom. So if you look carefully, you can see the little sort of circles. Can we see that? Let's try and get a bit closer. There we go. So these are the little circular hatches where the munitions come out through. Isn't that amazing? The old problem with these resin pieces, the camera doesn't seem to like it. Maybe there's too much light, I'm not sure. It's just knock the light down ever so slightly, it might be better. Yeah, I think we're getting a little bit more sharpness there. I think the resin sort of bleaches out the light that comes at it. There you go, you can see that a bit better now. Oh, very nice. That injects all the munitions downwards, and then this is the main section. Obviously you need to cut off the end piece of the resin. This piece here needs to be removed. But again, look at the detail here. So this is one that seems to eject out the sides. That's the top where it fits on the rail. Again, super detailed. Aren't they nice? Look at that. Wow. It's just worth dwelling on, isn't it, a little while, just to look at it. Fantastic. Nice resin, that. Beautiful moulding. Tasty, very tasty. Like that, I like that a lot. So again, just as I say, just be wary that if you buy one of these, you make sure. So I nearly bought a load of this stuff. The TSR2. Well, the TSR2 could barely stand on its own undercarriage. It couldn't, in fact. That was the 48 scale version, and it was just super heavy. And these will add a lot of weight to your model. Be advised. Anyway, next one. The Paveway CPU 123 Paveway guided bomb. First used in the Falklands War in 1982 by the Brits, and became commonplace. Shows the colour call-outs there. On the rear it shows you what it should look like. So it basically comes in one main piece, and you've got those steering fins at the front, and then you've got your sort of safety cap stroke. I think they come with and without. Yeah, with and without a cap on the front. You know, cover. Looks like something else, doesn't it? Like a rubber cover. Anyway, there's your laser, laser guidance system in the nose. So it's basically like a laser head, advanced laser head system, guidance system, on the front of an ordinary bomb. essentially. That's what it is. Now these have got fins. This is based on the American design. These have got fins that actually pop out, but they're not on the pop out part. Isn't on the model, but they have got fins that pop out. It's about a 45-degree angle, in fact. Very effective weapons. So that's that, and we need to find. Where is it? Here it is. Here we go. So here's the resin, darker this time, which I think is probably better for the camera. Yeah, here we go. Now then. Yes, that definitely suits the camera a little bit better. Look at the detail here. So this is not got the fins on, obviously. They are separate, which are over here. Oops. Here's our fins. There's 4 of those on the front, and they go in a little slot there. Multiple little slots at the front. So, aren't they nice though? Those are really good looking laser guided bombs, I'd say. And then, as I mentioned, there is the cap system at the front. There's 2 of these, by the way, in the actual kit. Two bombs. So we get our little caps, 2 with and 2 without the cover on. So that's your laser guided bomb. Next we've got the BOS pod. BOS is very similar to I think it's a jamming pod, isn't it? Electronic jamming pod, if memory serves. So, just bear with me while I put those away. There we go. So BOS pod there, 107. It just comes in 2 parts, very simple, but it does have, well, actually it comes with photo etch for the fins in this case. If you can see that. So this is got a bit more to it. And of course, shows the construction here. Got the it's like a cooling system at the back, like an exhaust system. I think it has some tiny intakes on it, I think, doesn't it? And then you've got your PE parts here, which are the fins, and yeah, just the colours. And then you've got these much smaller aero fins, I think they're there just to keep the drag down, really, and maybe a bit of vortex generating, part of the cooling system, I think. So that one is, there's only one of these, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Or am I mistaken? Yes, here it is. That's this one. So fiddly to get out of these. So here we go. They've done it well. They've done it well. Look at that. And that's where your fins go. There. And there. And then we've got the back end section here. It's just got these like vents at the back. So again, those 2 lumps have got to come off. But it's really detailed, you know. Whether that's needed, I'm not sure though, because I'm just thinking of the Revell kit, which the Revell kit and the 172 is probably the best of the Tornadoes on the market. Isn't saying that much, I know, but that's so simple, that pot, relatively speaking, that whether it needs resin on it, I'm not sure. That one, it might be a bit of overkill, but anyway. Then we have got the Sky Shadow countermeasures pod, not to be confused with Storm Shadow, which is a weapon, of course. Sky Shadow ECM pod, typical on Tornadoes, late models especially, and here it comes in 1, 2, 3, 4 resin parts, it looks like. Just flip that around on the back. Yes, it is. 2 fins, front and a back, and Yeah, a fiddly review is this, I have to say. It's the nature of the beast. Here we go. Right, okay, so as you'd expect then, 2 fins as I said, front and rear. And you've got quite good options. You've got like a military green or grey and green. Interesting. So this is your jamming pod. It's for wild weasel style operations, yeah? So, here it is. Yeah, so this is the front obviously. That's very, very nice. Look at that. Okay. Oops, I'm watching. Superb. Some fine detail there. Sorry, some fine detail there. So that's the front, then there's the rear here. Very cool. Here's your fins. It's going to be quite a fiddly one, this. I mean, again, all these are at 76 scale, so they are by nature perhaps a little bit fiddly. It goes with the territory at 176, I'm afraid. So. But there we go, that's that one. Then we have got the Thermal Imaging and Laser Designator Pod, the TL pod. Which for some reason they haven't quite finished the instructions on this one. Doesn't show the colours. It normally has the colour call out beneath, doesn't it? But they've forgotten to do it. So there you go. So that's in 1, 2, 3, 4 parts, and it's got this. What they now call it. Often called the lightning pod, don't the Americans do? You know? So here's your colour scheme, and it has the swivelling head with the camera in it, and the laser emitting system. Yeah, so it's got a bit of PE involved here as well, so there's a little bit of everything. And that is this one here. They're very tiny, aren't they? Ah. Okay, there we are. Yeah, so that's the rear, and that's very, very nice. That's super. And then there's the front. There seems to be two options. One is where, quite clever this, one is where the actual, because what they do in flight, they retract it for aerodynamic reasons. They retract the head in to protect the head from, you know, bird strikes. So as you're looking at it, the left one has got the laser camera head exposed, and on the right it's retracted inside. It's on a gimbal, swivel back in. So that's for aerodynamic reasons. So they'd have it like this in flight, and then when they get near the target, they'd swivel it out to that position. If that's how clear that is coming out there on the camera. You see it? Yeah, I think we can see it there, can't we? The difference between the two heads. Cool. I'm glad they've done that because it gives you the option, which is nice. It's very good. And then there's just this little tiny piece, which is it's just like a duct intake. Very, very nice. Okay, so that's the TL pod. That just leaves us with the alarm missiles. These are the anti-radar system. This bag contains lots and lots and lots of parts. Here's the alarm missile. And that's how it should come. So, I think there are 4 of these, 4 of each. 4 of everything. So we've got the basic central missile body. And then you've got various fins. And you've got rail that it actually goes on. Oops, I'm having a bit of focus trouble today. Here's the rails. And then the miniature fins that go on the rear. And you just got 4 of everything there, so you step and repeat, you know. Okay. So it's a lot of fiddly little parts, so you better be good with have good glasses on, or if you don't need glasses and you're lucky because you're younger, make sure you've got magnifiers, because you're still going to need to see very, very small parts, amplify them up a bit, you know. It's going to be a challenge working with these, a little challenge I think. Too bad. Oh, we've missed a bit, I've got a second. And then finally we've got our cluster bombs. The CBU 87s. Again, these have been used in various conflicts, but most recently in Syria, I think, by the British with the Tornado. Well, they're banned now, aren't they? The cluster bombs are banned. I know they're being used in Ukraine by all sides, it seems, but anyway, this is what they are. So this just has this is a very nice piece actually in terms of the moulding, because you have a front, just 2 pieces. It's a front section like this, and then a rear, which is very detailed. Look at those tails. And again, I think they have like a pop-out fin, stabiliser fins which pop out. So extender fins, you might say. And this is what they look like. They're all ready to go. And then inside, just the 2 parts to worry about. And here you go, it shows the correct position in terms of orientation, etc. Excellent. I mean, Eduard, very, very strong in this area. You know, it's a kind of a go-to place, aren't they, for these kind of add-on aftermarket weapon sets. Plenty of other people do them as well. Make no mistake, but they did do it very well. Just have a quick nosy finally at some of these. It's going to be quite tricky actually. There's all sorts in here. There's frets, photo etch, and decal sets. I mean, a lot of the decals, as we discussed, are going to be mainly just, you know, stencils and warning signs and things, but let's just have a quick look. A couple of them. I won't take the cover paper off it, it's not fair on David, but don't think we need to see that really. It's just a warning data, you know, things like radiation or, you know, danger because there's heat emitting from some of them, and so on and so forth, really. So there we have it. Oh, and there's also these rather nifty, I thought these were worth seeing up close actually. These are those fuse drivers for the bombs. Little like a fan. They're very neat, aren't they? All very nice, I have to say. Very, very nice indeed. Definitely worth considering. So you've got a 1/72 scale Tornado. You definitely want to consider having those. There's some beautiful parts there, and you know, some lovely resin, decent photo etch, nice bit of spraying and a bit of weathering, and they'll just pop, aren't they? And that's the thing that's nice about the the parts from Eduard. They're very good at that. They really do pop very well. They have a real sharp detail to them, always. So there we go. So I'm going to spread those around. It's quite a tricky thing to put back in the box, actually. Do it well. I'm a mess of it, probably. Nice set, that. Very, very nice set. But they're not cheap. I think they're retailing for about £25 that set. So it's quite a lot of dosh, isn't it? Anyway, there we are. So we've had a variety of weapons reviewed there. A little bit of a long one in the end because we've got five kits we've just looked at in one go. Definitely additions worth considering there if you're doing any of those kits, you know, modern jets, whether it's Tornado or Typhoon in the case of these, or that British set, which is that one. So there you've got the British ones, and the rest US weapons, air-to-air missiles, bombs and rocket launchers. So if you're doing a Vietnam's type scene, you definitely need something like that. Doing an air-to-air sort of kit or multiple kits, then you want to consider those. Some very nice sets indeed, I think. They're very great additions to your basic models, and things that, you know, you can use a couple of them and then keep them, and then you might need a couple for other kits as you go along. Good investment. This is what David did. He bought us a load of these at very sensible prices. Bargains, I'm sure. Anyway, hope you found it interesting. In terms of what they are, I'd probably give them 10 out of 10 almost, because they're especially the Eduard one, I give that 10 out of 10. Perhaps 9 out of 10 for the Hasegawas, maybe. There could be perhaps a little bit more English data in their instructions. It's the usual problem, really. But they're nice parts, and you know, the plastic's good quality, and they come with all the bits you need, really. So, what's not to like? You know? Anyway, I hope you'll give me 10 out of 10 with a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. We've been doing some investigating about dinging the notification bell and the fact that people aren't getting notifications. My wife did some investigating, and we now believe that it might be something to do with updates from Apple on a lot of devices. Sometimes the update seems to unding your YouTube notify me bell. I'm talking about your settings now, not on YouTube but on your device, your Apple device. So go to notifications and make sure it says yes, notify me for YouTube. So this explains why people have been, like, I've had problems with other people's, people have had problems with mine. It's nothing to do with us as individuals, and it doesn't sound like it may be to do with YouTube. It might be Apple meddling around and they've made a bit of a mistake on an update, and it's undinging notifications for everything on YouTube. Could be wrong, so tell me if I'm wrong, but that seems to be the way that we're getting it, because I'm getting things that I don't get notifications for. Some on YouTube I seem to get them, and some I don't get them, and they're all dinged. The other thing to know though, on YouTube settings, make sure you ding on the notifications options, ding all. Forget this personalised, because that doesn't seem to work very well. So make sure it says all. That means all, for example, when you're following my channel, all my videos. Otherwise, personalised means that I think they are selecting what they think you might be interested in. This is dangerous, isn't it? Far better that you get notified than you might say, well, I don't fancy that one. Say if you're a, I don't know, tank modeller and I'm talking about ships or something, I don't know. But you be the one that makes that decision. Don't let them make it for you. So don't have the personalised on. Ding all. Notifications all. Okay? And I think that then you can, if you want to ignore one, that's fine. You know, that's your choice. But at least you've been told about it and got the option. So we think that between doing those two things, you might find that this solves the problem. It's always an issue with things being done out of your hands, where updates are meddling around with settings you might have in your own devices, and we don't know about it, you know. Anyway, that's just the way of the world, I suppose. But it was worth investigating. So hats off to my wife for discovering one or two strange things going on there, and hope you'll give her a 10 out of 10. Anyway, thanks for watching. Been on too long as it is, but thank you for your interest. I hope you thought it was useful, and might one or just two of these might be of interest to you. See if you can shop around. I mean, I won't go mad at them, but you know, if you're going to model shows or scale model world, things like that, you might pick up some of these sets very cheaply if you play your cards right. You know, you don't have to spend a huge money on on them. You 10 or 15 pounds in the UK, for example, will probably pick you up most of these. Not the Ed one, perhaps, but some of the others. So it's the sort of thing you can look around for and shop around on eBay, and you might just find you can pick up a bit of a bargain. Play your cards right. Anyway, thanks for watching. Stay tuned. There'll be more interesting subjects coming up soon. And in the meantime, thanks for your company. Stay safe, stay well, and until next time, bye for now.